We have the picture of all the three divisions of time, the past, the present, and the future, the subconscious past, the present which shapes our future, and the future itself as a force influencing our present. It is not only true for the case of an individual, it is also true for the cosmic working. In fact, it is a cosmic past which is being described here, and it is the cosmic future which has to come. Now, the cosmic future can come largely because of the action of the individual. By itself, it does not happen. By the collective, by the action of the individual, the cosmic future also gets shaped. So, it is this double aspect which Savitri has to take care of in her yogic pursuit. Both her own past as well as the past of the creation. Therefore, we are told that our larger being sits behind cryptic walls. That larger being is again of two aspects. One speaks within. Light comes to us from above. When these two join together, then the cosmic future can get shaped by their joint action. Something coming out from within, something pressing from above. It is the double action which is involved in the shaping of the cosmic future. Now, first we are told what is connected with that which speaks from within. That within, we are told already, has essentially three aspects: the inner mental, the inner vital, and the inner physical. When these have prepared themselves, then the future can take proper shape. Our inner mind dwells in a larger light. A mighty life self with its inner powers supports our activities. And then, of course, our body's subtle self is thrown within. It is the subtle self of the body which governs our physical aspects. Its viewless palace of heretical dreams that are bright shadows of the thoughts of God. Well, this inner being, inner mental, inner vital, inner subtle physical, are but the shadows of the ideas, the thoughts of God. They have to become realities. That is what the light coming from above will do. Now, it is in this context we see the appearance of man on the biological scene as well as in the evolutionary process, on the evolutionary scene. Biological is just one aspect of the more comprehensive evolutionary scene. It is this inner physical which will govern the biological. If it wants certain kind of a form, certain type of a body, it is that which will prepare the body, the inner physical. It is that which will prepare the body for future use. So, it is something of that type in the cosmic working which formed the body of man. Body of man is not an extension, a prolongation of the biological evolution of species. The quick biology tells us that man is a descendant from monkey, from ape. The biological features are such that as if it is the ape which has become man. But the greater truth, the real truth is that it is the inner physical which has shaped the body of man. And it has used the biological tools, biological instruments, biological processes to give rise to what we call man. It is a different kind of a compulsion and not the biological push which has produced man. Now, this is something which is very important, and it is very explicitly brought out in this description by the occult yogi, by Savitri, who sees the inner workings of things, of the individual and of the cosmos. Science is one linear chain of movement, but there are behind it reasons of a different type, compulsions of a different type, pushes and forces of a different type, which produce the necessary desired results. It prepares the body for its use. What it has conceived to be necessary, it is that for that the instrument, the biological instrument is prepared. Therefore, we have a very, very significant phrase here. In the prone, obscure beginnings of the race, prone, obscure beginnings of the race, the human grew in the bowed ape-like man. Human grew in the ape-like man. It is not that ape has become human, but it is human who grew in that man who looked like an ape. He is not ape, he looked like an ape. Now, this is something absolutely remarkable from the point of view of, occult knowledge, of course, but for understanding the evolutionary biology. Scientific methods may not accept it. They have no clue about these things. There is perhaps no reason also for them to accept these things. But the real answer will come if we understand this particular aspect, and then perhaps true knowledge of science also will tell us that yes, it is something like that. It is not from ape, but from an ape-like creature, that man has arisen. Because the inner being is there, and it is he who is shaping all the instrumental aspects, including the biological. That is the important point here, you see. Well, we have, in contrast to the understanding of science about the significance of the earth in the occult sense, the occult importance of the earth, we say quickly that the earth is the center of the universe. Immediately the astronomer will dismiss it. He says it's nonsense. Earth is a small, minuscule, negligible, unobservable speck in the vastness of space. Billions and billions of galaxies, stars, and one small little sun in the corner of a Milky Way. And of that sun, one small little planet, the blue planet, the earth. How can that be the center of the universe? Great battles were fought about the heliocentricity and geocentricity about 400 years ago. People were burnt alive for holding the view of heliocentricity. But we have missed the real meaning of the phrase, earth is the center of the universe. Earth is the center. Center in what sense? A physical center, a material center, an astronomical center? No, it is not the center of the universe. We have not understood the meaning of the word center. Earth is the center. Sri Aurobindo, in fact, describes in a small little book, The Mother, that earth is a significant center of the universe. Significant center of the universe. Not the physical, material center, a significant center. Now, what is the significant center here for? What is the meaning, the connotation of the word significance? Well, the Mother has spoken about it in great detail, and of course Sri Aurobindo also. But Mother has told these things in a conversational language. She says that earth was formed for a specific purpose, where the entire effort of concentration could be felt. It is formed to concentrate the evolutionary effort in the growth of consciousness, from the physical to the vital to the mental to the higher possibilities. That kind of a growth of consciousness is possible in the evolutionary process. But in order that that growth takes place, there has to be a place for work. And it is the earth which has been formed specifically for that purpose. A place for work. Now, how this evolutionary process can go on? It cannot go on in a mechanical manner. It cannot go on by the process of nature alone. It cannot go on even with the help of gods, even with the help of the highest gods, even with the help of the transcendental gods. It cannot go on by itself unless there is present on earth the divine element, the psychic element, the divine spark. It is the presence of the psychic being on earth which makes it a significant center. It is because of the psychic being that there is a good possibility of the evolutionary process marching ahead. So, when Shivandu says that the earth is a significant center, it is significant from the point of view of evolutionary manifestation. That is the crucial thing, evolutionary manifestation. Now, this particular aspect will of course not be recognized by science. It is not concerned with the psychic being. It has no way of knowing it, studying it, analyzing it, putting it on the table of the laboratory and viewing it under the microscope. That is not possible for science to do at all. Therefore, it is futile for science to even dismiss it, to contradict it, of course, it cannot. The only possibility is to recognize that such a thing can be in the scheme of things. If science can understand that such a thing can be in the scheme of things, then it would have broadened its outlook, its methodology, its viewpoint, and try to see things from a different angle also, without this kind of a materialistic insistence that earth is a speck in the cosmos, in the universe, which materially of course is true. But even the gods are envious of this earth. Even the highest gods are envious of this earth. The mother has narrated her meeting with Durga, and Durga was amazed how mother could do small little things there. And the mother told that it is because of the psychic being, which you don't have, you will not understand. If you want to understand that, if you want to really get the experience of that, you have to come down here with a psychic being. Are you ready? Durga said, sorry, I will wait for some more time. Not now. So that is the significant center, why earth is a significant center. In other words, the entire evolutionary process is unique to earth because of the presence of the psychic being. And it is in that uniqueness that we have to also see the biological aspect of evolution. After all, the biological evolution is a small element in the large golden chain of things that have taken place, that are taking place, that will take place. It is bound to happen that way. The human grew in the bowed ape-like man. See how careful, how scientific, how precise, at the same time how definite the yogi poet is. He is an ape-like man. Nobody has even conceived that such a possibility is there. That no, he may look like an ape, he is not ape. That distinction nobody could see it all. That is a master phrase, ape-like man. If we understand the nature of this, then all our problems of evolutionary biology and what is called creationism get automatically resolved. They will automatically vanish. There is a great debate going on in the world even today about creationism and evolutionary biology, creational biology and evolutionary biology. There is a very strong lobby even in a country like America, USA, which insists that evolutionary biology is absurd, has no meaning, should not be accepted. What is required is to understand the nature of creationism. Now, it is not only a dispute in the world of thought, it is also a dispute in the actual working of things. There have been laws passed in some states of the US which have banned evolutionary biology to be taught in schools. It should not be taught to the children at all, the evolutionary biology. What should be taught is only creationism. God said, "Let there be light," there was light. "Let there be creation," and there was creation. That is what we have in theology. And when did it happen? According to theology, according to the discussions in those circles of creationism, they say that man came on the scene maybe some 10,000 years ago. 10,000 years ago. They totally dismiss the paleontological discoveries which have been made, which trace the human origin to several millions ago back. They dismiss it totally. They call it that it is not science at all. The scientific discovery of man, rather scientific statement of man emerging out of ape, the Darwinian evolution, is itself challenged by the theoreticians of science. A famous critic of science, Popper, he says that it is not a scientific theory at all. Darwin's theory is not a scientific theory at all. What is the criterion of a scientific theory? That a scientific theory should be falsifiable. It should be able to tell you certain things which should be done and experimented and checked in the laboratory. If you cannot do that, then it is not a scientific theory. Falsifiability lies, carry out the experiment and say yes or no. that it is so in the laboratory or it is not at all so, that is demanded by a scientific theory. The Darwinian theory cannot lend itself to such a proposition. Therefore, one need not even attach much significance to the idea of science telling us that man is a descendant of an ape. On what basis? It may be a good fancy, maybe a good quick way of getting a kind of popularity also perhaps, but that does not become a scientific fact. That is the whole crux of the matter actually. In order to become a scientific fact, you should be able to conduct experiment. Struggle for existence, yes, there is some element in it, but that does not still come under the category of scientific experimentation. That is the crucial thing, see. So therefore, our poet is very careful when he says that in the prone obscure beginnings, we had no knowledge at all of how things happened. How things began, we had no knowledge. Obscure beginnings of the race, the mental being. How the mental being has arrived, we had no knowledge of that. The human grew in the bowed ape-like man. Prone obscure beginnings. There are no records. What can you talk of? There was no man at that time to take down notes, record the entire sequence of developments to tell us, yes, this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened. And therefore, out of this biological creature arrived. There is no way of telling us at all because there was nobody there at the time to record those things. Although paleontology might give certain clues, but then there are always clues and there are perhaps too many gaps in between. You make, to fill up those gaps, leaps of imagination and say, yes, this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened. Quite often they are leaps of imagination which have no scientific basis to uphold them, you see. So prone obscure beginnings, there was none to record. In fact, at one point the mother says that had that been recorded in the history of evolution, her future task would have become simpler. From man to the next step, she would have got some clues. Yes, this is what happened from animal to man, from man to the higher race. There is possibly a clue then available, but there was nobody to record and tell us this is how the animal has become man. There was nobody to record at that time, you see. She, in a certain sense, therefore, regrets, which is perfectly understandable because there was nobody to record. The human faculty of cognition, of seeing knowledge through a certain perspective was not available at all. It was basically all along the life force which was driving the events. Now, ape-like man, that is the crucial thing. How that happens? Perhaps we might stretch our imagination and say that the description of the monkey army in the Ramayana is providing you a certain kind of a hint. It is from Vanara that man has arrived. It is here Vanara who is helping man in the actions of life. A certain life force has produced an animal being which is now at the service of the mental being, and that is a great transition. The life force pushing the mental being forward in conquering the life forces. That is what the avatarhood of Rama means basically. So, we cannot say that Ramayana and the Vanaras and all the other similar creatures in the Ramayana are mythical, foolish imaginations of an ignorant poet. They are not. There is an occult depth behind all those things. And it is very likely that in one of the previous cycles of creation, in one of the earlier Manvantaras, the animal being had advanced to the stage of Vanara, who is now ready to transit from animal to the mental. And his body, by the occult forces, is now prepared in such a way that a transition can take place. Here is the ape, here is the man. The occult, the inner working is such that the body of man can get formed. Maybe to begin with, it is ape-like, it is bowed, but then the real essence is that it is already in a very elemental stage, the mental being. He is already a mental being, different than the vital being. In one of the records, Sri Aurobindo speaks of Vanara belonging to a different cycle of evolution. And he also mentions that the entire process of evolution was in one of the earlier cycles tried on Mars, on the planet Mars. So it is very likely that this animal being, this Vanara, belonged to that Manvantara elsewhere. But it is that psychic memory which is retained in the scheme of evolution. And when things could not progress further, that whole creation was dissolved. There was pralaya. There were 6 pralayas so far. In the present cycle, it is that memory, that occult knowledge, that occult force, that occult substance which is gathered up, and the evolution is taking place in a different manner. It is here in this human tribe, early tribe, that Savitri has arrived. And it is Savitri who is going to remove all the obstacles standing on the path of evolution. That is her task. She has come for that. The mental being is there. She has to lead him from this stage to the next stage, the intermediate race, the Gnostic race in the sequence of development. That is what has to happen here. In the Aitareya Upanishad, there is a very small, beautiful parable. Again, in the context of this process, the gods wanted beings here for their habitation. Gods were eager to come down and be here on earth, but they could not find proper forms, proper beings into whom they could enter. Therefore, the Spirit showed them to begin with, here is the cow. Go and occupy this cow. It told the gods, go and occupy the cow. The gods said, sorry, she won't do for us. She is not enough for us to do any work. All right, the Spirit presented to them the horse, the life force, the life dynamism, and told the gods, go and occupy this creature, this animal, horse. And again, the gods were not happy. No, it cannot contain our powers and possibilities. What the kind of work which we would like to do, we cannot do in this creature. The Spirit went back and then presented to the gods, here is man, the mental being. Go and occupy. This is the place for your habitation. Go and live in him. And the gods were immensely pleased. Yes, he is the fit instrument for us, a proper house for our habitation. We can go and live in him. In other words, from the occult spiritual sense, whatever the gods and the higher powers of the Spirit can do, it is there that the importance of man comes, not animal, not even the most powerful animal like the horse. It is man. In him, the gods can do the work. So, it is here that we have to begin with this man who has the shape, the features, but not the psychological essence or contents of an ape. It is a thing which is totally different in the inner makeup, in the inner mental, inner physical, in the inner vital than what is there in the animals. Because behind this inner is present the psychic, and it is the psychic which prepares these inner faculties, mental, vital, physical. And when they become proper, when they open themselves out for a proper working, then the power of the Spirit can enter into them and do their things. It is then that the gods can step in man and do the work of evolution. Now that is what man is, ape-like to start with, but with a full glory of becoming a Gnostic being. When he opens more and more to the incoming powers of the Spirit, when the greater and greater gods come and start living in him, then he opens himself to the possibilities of the Gnostic being. At that point can begin the new race, the Gnostic race. In between there could be a transition from the mental race, between mental race and the Gnostic race, the intermediate race, a transition between the two, a necessary link between the two extremes, the transcendental and the cosmic. It is there that the intermediate race can function in a very definite manner. That is the work which was initiated in 1950. I might say the beginning of it was made at 1:25 a.m. on 5 December 1950. The beginning of the new race from that point onward. It became a concrete thing on 29th February 1956. The mother, with that triumph, was trying to carry this thing forward to the extent possible with the present humanity, exercising all the while the will of the Supreme in the entire process. The will of man, of humanity, of the growing creature, getting more and more identified with the will of the Supreme. It is that process she was busy with. It is that process she is busy with. It is that process which will produce the triumphant result.